Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to take a look at the new update for BF5 and more importantly some big visibility changes that will improve being able to see people and sweeping netcode improvements across the board that will affect time to kill and time to death. Before we go over those, we're going to take a look at the new unlock this week. But what is it then? So far all of the Tides of War assignments have given us either a new weapon or a cosmetic on completion. This time around though, a bit different. We actually get a vehicle as our reward. The Sturmgeschtz 4, or the Stug 4 for short. I'm going to go with that one. Now this is an axis only medium tank and one of the first new vehicles that's being added to the game. Before we get stuck into how the tank plays, let's just quickly talk about how to unlock it. The first step is pretty straightforward, earn 1000 score while in a mobile ground vehicle. This means it could be a tank or one of the half tracks. Just get in a ground vehicle and score some points. Capturing flags is a really good way to earn points fast. The top route really favours playing with friends because it wants you to repair tanks or half tracks piloted by a squad mate. You only have to repair 100 damage though, so it's not a difficult thing to do, but you need to be doing it to a squad tank. If you play with friends often, this is pretty easy to achieve. The top tree then wants you to build 5 of either the tank resupply stations, tank traps or cannons. Again, really simple. If you're on Hamada for example, you could build 5 tank traps in no time at all. The next stage is a bit harder as you've got to deal 100 damage to tanks or half tracks in one life with infantry gadgets or stationaries, so no vehicles allowed. The reality is that you either need to do some persistent damage to multiple tanks or realistically, if you manage to sneak up on a tank and kill it. You should get this one pretty easily though. The last stage on the top tree is to spot 5 tanks. I would recommend getting the spotting scope out as a recon and do it that way. Not only that, but once you've spotted a tank, you can respot it once the initial one has gone. I reckon that Panzerstorm is definitely your best bet here. The bottom tree for the Stug first wants you to get 10 kills in a tank or half track, but thankfully assists will also count. Then you need to destroy 3 vehicles while in a tank or half track. If you're pretty handy in a tank, this shouldn't be all that hard. Panzerstorm, again, great for this kind of thing. There is another route here too. You can also deal 1000 damage to tanks, either while in one yourself or with infantry gadgets, so really it's whichever one of those that you achieve first. And then you need to earn 300 points while in a reinforcement vehicle, which honestly is pretty much capping one flag or just getting a few kills. And then you need to capture an objective in a tank or a half track. All of those are pretty simple, but some may take a bit more time depending on how good you are in a tank, and of course if they're available. For the final stage you'll need to get 20 kills in ground vehicles while attacking objectives. Now this one's annoying. You don't have to be on the objective in your vehicle providing the enemies you're killing themselves are on the objective. It's a pain in the ass, but once you've done it, the new tank is yours. So what's it like then? Well, the Sturm itself is pretty nippy for a larger tank. I'd say it was a medium tank and in real life it was a German assault gun variant of the Panzer, and in game you can really tell the resemblance. The Stug models were used as tank destroyers during the last few years of the war. I don't mind it, but of course I'm not a big tank player. The Stug doesn't have a turret, so you have to really maneuver your tank well to land shots. You've got to be facing what you're shooting at. And if you end up in a bad position, you're going to struggle really bad to defend yourself against infantry. Very similar to the Churchill gun carrier in that respect. You ideally want to sit a bit further back and pick off your targets from a distance. When it comes to the specs, well, the left-hand tree offers up a reinforced engine, Zimmerit paste that prevents sticky grenades and explosives from attaching, improved loading mechanism, and then the case rounds which fire off a small cluster of steel balls like a giant shotgun. Horrific. The right-hand tree gives you a smoke launcher, field repair that instantly gives you 10% vehicle health back, a heavy anti-tank 75mm cannon option, and AP rounds. The middle route offers up tank skirts and then the S-mine launcher. Not only do we have the new tank this week, but we also received another client update that fixes some really big issues that have been in the game since launch. One of the biggest areas of improvement is the netcode. So that's the time to kill and the time to death, and those phrases have been thrown around quite a lot over the past few months, but in short, the game hasn't always been operating as it should, and there have been instances where players have died much faster than they feel they should have done, and instances too where players were receiving damage behind cover. First of all, DICE has implemented a new system that will ensure consistency between time to kill and time to death, regardless of what's going on with networking conditions such as high latency or packet loss. What this means is that the damage from the first bullet to to the last bullet will be paced properly, and that will avoid you getting multiple points of damage sent in one packet, or the super bullets, as the devs have called them. Not only that, but there has been improvements to the amount of damage updates that can be sent in a single data packet, meaning damage will be sent to the player as fast as possible. Super fast data. There are plenty of other netcode improvements here too, including fixes for damage indicators and for players incorrectly taking damage, but those netcode changes alone are a huge step forward for BF5, and I've been playing a bit over the last couple of days and I think it feels pretty good now. Now then, let's talk about the other big issue that's been addressed here that players have noted since the launch of the game: visibility. I know that some players perhaps don't think this is a big problem with the game or has been a big problem, but I think it really is, or at least it was. I did a video fairly recently where I wanted to demonstrate how bad the situation was and how easy it was to just hide in rubble on your back on certain maps and just never be seen. I'd say that maps like Fjell and Devastation were the worst culprits for bad visibility because there's a lot of terrain deformation and rubble on those maps, and it just enables you to hide really effectively, especially when lying on your back, because your character doesn't have any breath, any animations, you're just still. And some players might say, well, what's the problem with that? Well, the issue mainly for me is that this is a game and it should be fun. And there were often times when you could be looking directly at someone and still not notice them. And I think in terms of gameplay for a Battlefield game, it's not really a good thing. So how has DICE dealt with this? Well, their goal was to make enemy players more visible and to make them stand out more. So changes have been made by altering the lighting and colours of player models and making specific tweaks to certain maps, namely the two that I mentioned, which are the worst offenders. So DICE have also made sure that these changes are prioritised on enemy soldiers, so they will always be the ones that stand out way more than teammates, for example. As well as that, they found some issues that were causing soldiers' uniforms to appear much darker in areas than they were actually supposed to. And an issue was found whereby the visibility system was being incorrectly applied against prone soldiers, so they were much harder to see. So there was actually a problem there. Now though, it's a definite improvement in my opinion, and you'll notice prone soldiers way easier than you did before. I think what I'll do is go back in with this update and do a similar video where I test if it's actually made a difference in random public servers. So do I think it's worked? Yes, I'd say so. The change is subtle, but it's enough to make a real difference. At the end of the day, you want to be able to spot enemies, but you don't want them to stand out so much that it's impossible for a player to lie down anywhere without being seen. There's a fine line that you're walking there, it's tricky to balance, but busy maps like Devastation are still going to give you options to hide, I think, and Fjell, I think, might still be a bit of an issue, but that's just because the players blend in to the snow and the rocks so easily. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think it's an improvement or fine as it was? So overall, those two changes, visibility and netcode, I think they're huge quality of life improvements, so it's great to see big strides going forward there. There has of course been lots of other bug fixes and balance changes too. The KE7 has had a small increase in recoil, as has the ZK383, and the bayonet charge has been tweaked. Remember, bayonet charges, not really a big issue in BF5 thankfully, as it's built into a specialization system, but the damage reduction when using the bayonet charge has been reduced to bring it back in line with how it operated in BF1. Another big change which I'm thankful for is to the frag rifle grenade. You may have noticed how many assault players were using the frag rifle grenade and just how strong it was. It was just an insta-give machine, annoying as hell. It's now got a much needed nerf, and the grenades from the frag rifle launcher will now bounce if they hit the ground too close to where you fired it from. If you fire it from a far enough distance, they will go off as usual on impact, but if you're too close, the grenade will bounce, and be careful because it could bounce back towards you and kill you. Now of course, one thing I haven't mentioned is the addition of the new co-op mode, Combined Arms, and I won't go into too much detail on co-op because I did some gameplay of it yesterday, so go and check that out to see exactly how it is. I am planning to do another video where I just break down what happened here because I think it's a complete failure. Overall, it's not massively engaging and it's not something that I see people going back to at all. If you want to learn some maps though and play with friends, it could be something you want to check out, but we'll dive into that in a future piece of content. So there we have it guys, a new week, a new tank, and some really good quality of life improvements to the game. I'm happy with this patch. Next week's assignment though is also a new tank, the Archer, so look out for that one. I'm sure that I'll cover that in a new video too. And we got to look at some new guns which are coming. Again, watch this space. So that's all guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you did down in the comments below and leave a like. If you didn't enjoy it, dislike it, not a problem. Subscribe if you want to see more, hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.